shadows of other dimensions, there lies a nefarious force waging war upon humans from the space between spaces for millennia. A dark force that governs not just our thoughts and actions, but our very souls. The very advent of time began with slave-master hierarchy between us and those unseen forces behind our every action and thought. They built and created rules and systems of thought, created kingdoms and spawned religions used to rule the masses from afar by controlling the ebb and flow of space and time on an epic level. Under the guise of free will and individualism, the systems in place around us actually ensures that we have no choice but to comply and obey an underlying agenda that, at its core, is evil. Put in place by beings that feed and are nurtured by the control they maintain over planet Earth. Outside of the realms of our own imagination and our own reality, there is a sinister, unseen race of beings controlling our every move. From the moment we are born on this planet we call Earth, we are under the yoke of an invisible, superior race.
They're not superior, they're just evil.
Occasionally mankind has had visions of them and sensed their presence. We have given names to these fleeting transcendental blips in the reality of human consciousness. Angels, demons, ghosts, fairies, elves, aliens, reptilians, men in black, and now dark, all-powerful secret societies. From the earliest texts we have proof that mankind was concerned with the presence, invasion and control of our own species by extraterrestrial beings. But these are not necessarily beings from another planet, but from another dimension. There is a science behind their existence, and the secret lies within the waveform. Over the millennia, these beings have stepped in and out of what we call reality and manipulated our lives. They have control of all our governing institutions, from sovereigns to senate, from commerce to church. They have fed us a series of lies, and we have gorged upon them. It's time to stop the feeding frenzy and to change our diet to one of truth, to expose the hidden agenda that poisons our minds, to take back our lives. You may believe there is a grand conspiracy in the world to control mankind, created by secret human groups. You may believe that aliens are dealing with our governments, or that there is even a great hidden war afoot between mankind and extraterrestrial life. You may be awaiting a great disclosure of the truth, a day when our leaders come clean. The truth is that our governments and even those secret societies are as much in the dark as you or I. The truth is that hidden from our conscious lives there is a darkness from another realm that forces us into a life of repetitive cycles and keeps us locked away. If you choose to open your mind and consider a different reality, then you may yet be free, at least in spirit. This is the story of how mankind has, for thousands of years, been subjugated, oppressed and controlled by beings from another realm. Are you ready to escape prison planet Earth? The first thing we have to do is to overcome the immediate sense of how strange and bizarre the whole thing of an ancient, controlling and hidden race of beings can sound. Our ordinary lives are so full of facts and figures that we perceive as reality. It's this temperature, it's this time. We live in this country, we are human. We own a dog or cat, we go to work, we come home, we get married, we have children. We work hard, enjoy our lives, and then we die. As sociable creatures, we are always interested in the lives of others, and so we watch, learn, interact. We even spend thousands of hours of our lives watching soap operas and films of fictional people. But we know that these are just actors, don't we? Psychologists have proven that all humans lie. There are just different levels of lying. So what can we really trust? Are the stories we listen to from friends and family any more real than those on the TV? Billions of people listening to others talk about God, spirits, ghosts and more. Billions of dollars are spent on these stories because of belief. This is belief in the words of another human, who we know is more than capable of lying. Hitler once said that if you repeat a lie often enough, eventually the people will believe it. He was right.
In other words, if you tell them a lie with this Christianity and somebody who supposedly rose from the dead, over and over again, eventually people will believe it. And what this guy is saying, Hitler was actually right about that.
Thousands of years of spouting the same lies has created massive populations of the globe that now believe in a deity.
Mr. J and all the other names y'all call on.
If we actually take a look at the very first texts from all religions, we actually discover that our ancestors were talking about beings that came from another place, another dimension. They reveal that beings descended, often with craft. They then took control of humanity, formed the first civilizations, taught us how to grow crops, science, languages, and more.
The fallen ones did this.
They placed superhuman watchers over us to keep us in our place. We, in return, worshipped
demons
them and turned them into our gods.
GODs. devils, Nephilim giants.
The stories tell us how they had superhuman powers. They could fly and change shape. They had incredible weapons of light,
Shapeshifters,
chariots that flew through the sky,
the old dragon.
and they lived for very long periods of time. Why is it that we modern, scientific, practical humans believe in a so-called loving and jealous God? Because that is what they wanted us to believe. But the truth is that these ancient aliens, beings of light that are in fact our prison guards, and we are under their yoke.
Can dirt be clean?
That the times before these beings arrived, humans lived a peaceful existence. We lived off the land. We ate berries and root crops. We followed the herds and were in tune with nature and its rhythms. Then, suddenly, we find broken bones, burnings, and other signs of warfare. What changed? The beings arrived, and a divided mankind fought back. An ancient civil war across the world between those who followed the invaders and those who wanted freedom. It was the beginning of a new way for humanity, a new method of imprisonment. Religion was created for us to follow the lies. And what does religion do? It makes special super beings. The legendary histories tell us quite clearly that these invaders mated with chosen humans and created a special breed. This new breed became our kings and queens, and were themselves worshipped as gods. From Egypt to Mesopotamia, from Europe to the Far East, all kings were gods on earth. These kings were given authority to rule by the creation of religion, which backed their claim to divine authority. The only real authority these alien hybrids had was the superior power over mankind. The ability to beat, control, and manipulate our minds into submission. And now, thousands of years later, we are still under the spell.
Most are, some not.
One unique element we see in historical texts and art is the ability of these special beings to shapeshift. Many texts even tell of how abhorrent they were to look upon. Snake-like reptilian elements are at the forefront of descriptions. Today, many call them reptiloids, saurians, or even draconians. It is nothing new. In fact, it has been known for a very long time. The earliest forms of worship are all serpentine. In every country across the globe, in every single religion, in every myth, no matter how separated by time, the worship of the serpent is of paramount importance. Even in the Bible, the serpent that tempts Adam and Eve is a wise and knowledgeable serpent that speaks using its own voice. It is basically the story of how the serpent took control of the earliest humans, driving them towards a so-called civilized existence, controlled by religion. Using human nature against itself. And yet, history also tells us that we often rebelled against the machine. The fact that mankind actually did battle against them is clear from the myths seen all over the world, such as the casting out of serpents from Ireland and Malta. The stories of George slaying the dragon and the Archangel Michael fighting the beast are just two. They were given titles over time by mankind: Elohim, Shining Ones, Watchers. Titles of those who held strict control over civilization. Much of this myth of the Watchers is found to be within the tales of wars and mergings of people across the Middle East between Canaanites, Egyptians, Sumerians, and even Asian civilizations. But the underlying current is a belief in the Shining Ones as leaders, with Watchers doing their bidding, evolving eventually into our myths of God with his angelic beings. The terms Anunnaki, Anakin, and even Nephilim mean those who came down to earth from heaven. Heaven is not something in the sky. It is another place, somewhere special that humans cannot go to while in our physical form. The only way we could actually go to heaven, we are told, was in death, which is simply to live and serve out our time under the bidding of the masters, or to go into an altered state of consciousness. This in itself is very revealing, that we do not actually need a craft to visit the other realm, and from where these beings came, but instead we need to see differently, to alter our perception. What we see as reality, the physical world around us, may indeed, as many scientists are theorizing, be a lie. These ancient beings looked down on the people below and watched, something that would sound very familiar to thousands of people around the world today who have experienced alien visitations.